Welcome everyone to the almost cancelled TV news podcast. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Connor.
Yeah, I've had pre-drinks this week, so I'm prepared.
You've had what?
Pre-drinks.
Ah, okay.
Not specifically for this show. I was out.
You don't need a reason to drink. We've established that.
Normally, I would agree that I don't, but there actually was a good reason this time. So,
Although I realise as I say that joke, part of the gimmick of this show is that
there's always a reason.
There's reasons to make you drink. Which
yeah.
I guess the joke is that you're just looking for any easy reason. Like, you want to pretend there has to be a reason, but it doesn't need to be.
I mean, that's fair. But tonight was a good reason. There was a leave-in do for someone at work. So that's a reasonable reason.
Oh. I thought your chicken farm had finally turned a profit.
Oh, no. Yeah, I'd be blackout if that was the case.
I've put an image into everyone's head of you chasing around chickens in a small garden somewhere.
Yeah. If that had come true, oh no, I'd be blackout drunk. You wouldn't be seeing me right now.
That said, does 3 chickens constitute a farm? I don't know if it does. Anyway, this is a TV news podcast
for the night, that isn't it?
It's a TV news podcast. We get to go talk about pilots, new shows announced, premiere dates, cancellations, renewals, all that solid stuff. So we got a bunch of things to work through this week. There's a reasonable amount. Not as much from the TCAs as I thought. Just a little bit, really. But there was other meteor news that kind of spirals into a bigger topic, I suppose, at one point, which I've sort of grouped together later on. So
I suspect I know what that is.
Yeah. So we'll start off with the renewals and cancellations, as we typically do. Unless you've got any like TV, like
what anecdotes?
Yeah, like did you watch anything new this week? Is there anything you'd like to tell the audience about your TV life, if you will?
I've literally just been watching a lot of Doctor Who. So do you want to hear about Doctor Who?
No. Let's move on. That's not new. You always do that. A shocking amount.
It's not new, but is it relevant? I'd say it's always relevant.
Well, I finished season 1 of Yellow Jackets. The review of my thoughts on the end of the season are up already on the channel. Don't know what I'm going to maybe go back and catch up on next and put up some videos of.
Keep in theme and do Yellowstone as well.
No, I'm not doing Yellowstone. But I did finish that this week. And obviously, as per usual, the recent Better Call Saul review's out already. There was another Deep Space Nine review. There was Babylon 5, all the usual things that have been coming out. No other pilots this week. I actually just dodged Sandman on the pilot vote.
I think you should do it anyway.
Do you know what? I might have done just because it's such a big name. However, it released on the same day as Prey, so F you, Sandman. I watch Prey.
Sandman tomorrow.
Okay, I've got comics. I got the comics podcast tomorrow.
You can do Sandman after this. I'm going to watch Sandman after this.
Well, that's good for you.
What's your excuse?
I'm going to relax and do non-work things. Thank you very much.
Sandman is relaxing, probably, I assume.
No, Sandman is straight up work, right?
Hey, I've heard good things. That makes it relaxing.
It was funny is I slightly get hit with another pilot I didn't want to watch, but there's some news on that later on this show, which is at least delayed the bullet, if not moving out the way of the bullet.
If that's delayed out of this month, then you should have to go to the next available pick. And if that's Sandman, you should be doing Sandman.
No, because there's like ties and stuff. It's all very complex.
It should still go to the next pick. If that was delayed, that should be automatically qualified for that month.
No. What's been delayed will go into the next vote, and now can compete with a new host of contenders.
Whoa! So it earned a place in this vote, and now it's got to go through a vote again, and you're not replacing it with anything in this vote. The patrons are being robbed.
Look, because of the ties, I had 4 things I had to do. It's down to 3 now, which is a perfectly reasonable amount based on what I normally do. You shut up. Stop trying to give me more work.
Patrons are being robbed. You should give them their money's worth.
They get their money's worth. Trust me, even more streams was 2 hours long this week. They get their money's worth.
Well, what about those patrons who only care about the TV stuff?
They're getting 3 quality pilot reviews over the next.
And they should
month.
have had 4, and now they've got to vote for this 4th one again.
Look, now it can test its might against the Lord of the Rings show, which is out in
Robbery.
September.
This is disgraceful behaviour.
Oh dear. Anyway, yeah. So let's get into
Sounds
things.
like
Shall
Sandman
we?
should replace it.
But Sandman was tied with something else. Why shouldn't I pick the other thing?
Because Sandman. But
No.
unless it was tied with Game of Thrones, in which case,
You don't have an
toss a
answer for
coin.
that. It may have been tied with Game of Thrones, actually. That may be what it was tied with.
Toss a coin. We do whichever one you feel will punish you more.
See, I feel like you've got some ulterior motives here.
Would I have an ulterior motive?
It's not even ulterior, it's just blatantly the motive. But
Would I have a motive?
Alright, let's get into stuff. We'll start off with the renewals. Not stuff that we know too much about, really, but especially this first one because the first season's not aired yet. But Beacon 23 has been renewed with an early renewal for season 2. This is a Spectrum Originals and AMC Network psychological thriller series. I'll just remind you what it is since it's not started yet. So there's 3 Man City production of season 1. It's starring Lena Headey and Stephen James. Where is the description of this bad boy? Here we go. The Beacon 23 follows 2 people, Headey's Astor and James Halen, whose fates become entangled after they find themselves trapped together at the end of the known universe. Headey's Astor mysteriously finds her way to a lonely beacon keeper on his lighthouse in the darkest recesses of space. A tense battle of wills unfolds as James Keeper begins to question whether Astor is friend or foe, as her ability to disguise her agenda and motives can make her a formidable opponent.
So that. Everyone's got motives.
Space Lighthouse show. I remember actually talking about this when it was in first development, but
yeah, it was a while ago though.
But hey, early renewal, they're confident on it. They're feeling good.
Yeah.
So cool.
Where was that over airing?
Spectrum and AMC. So I assume it's going to be AMC. You know, Spectrum, I think, is a Canadian.
I was going to say, what the hell's Spectrum?
I think it is. I mean, I could be wrong. I think Spectrum's a Canadian thing. So I think it's just them teaming with a Canadian company. So, but you know, AMC is probably where it's going to land. While Connor's doing some fact checking.
I am. It didn't show up immediately, which is probably not a great sign.
surely Spectrum Originals might garner something, no?
Shockingly, you would think, wouldn't you?
Oh my god, that's cannot be that.
I don't know. Owned by Time Warner.
Spectrum Canada.
Oh well, Canada didn't show up when I searched. Wait, did you search for Canada?
Aye. Spectrum Canada mortgage service. Yes, I said mortgage. Mortgage services. Very different. It doesn't matter, right? It's fine.
It doesn't matter, but you know, you should do your due diligence on these stories.
My due diligence. I find out where Spectrum comes from. I think it's got.
Well, if I have a question, and a reasonable question as well, not like an out of hand left field, like throw you a curveball. This was, what is Spectrum, which is part of the story.
You
I feel
realize
like you should be prepared with an answer.
in the future, I'm just going to lie and just say AMC then when you ask me that question. If it's Spectrum and someone, it's just the other one. I'll just lie, so you don't have to ask the question.
It'll be quicker for you, but then the audience will know. If they've seen this story, they'll pick you up on it.
That's fine.
It seems like, just for reference, Spectrum seems to be an internet service provider.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and it has a selection of its own cable channels bundled in with their package.
Ah, okay. So I guess it's okay. Yeah, fair enough.
TV Choice is a live TV streaming service available only to Spectrum internet customers in certain Spectrum areas.
Well, that's why they have to team with people at AMC, because
Otherwise, no one would ever see it.
Yeah, because I assume they have millions of people who have their service, but there's a lot of people who don't. So
probably, but the reality is a lot of ISPs that have their own thing, unless they're like one of the biggest ones, people still probably don't use their service, like their streaming service.
Yeah,
obviously
probably
they use their internet service.
Otherwise, why would you have an ISP?
Yeah. I just wanted to clarify that.
Next up, Good Trouble has been renewed for season 5 at Freeform.
who cares?
You were about to ask what's that, and I said
I
FIFA.
was, and then I was like, I don't care.
And then on to the cancellations and endings. They've confirmed that The Flash is ending with season 9. It's 13 episode final season.
Oh, thank God.
So that's wrapping up. Which, interestingly, I just noticed this when I was glancing at this article earlier. It's ending, at least as of right now, it's ending within a couple of weeks of the Flash movie's release date, which is really funny, given that Ezra Miller got announced to be in that movie the week that the Flash pilot aired.
Yes.
So that's just
and
really
the Flash
funny.
had 9 seasons in the interim.
Yes. So a bit of hilarity there. It was worth mentioning.
Probably what, a couple of hundred episodes at that point, almost, just under.
9 seasons. It won't be at 200, but it'll be comfortably way up. Yeah,
It'll be close, won't it?
yeah, because 5 seasons typically gets you to 110 if you get 22 per season.
Yeah.
So this is going to have 9, and the last season's only 13. And I assume the season that was airing during the first pandemic stretch probably got a condensed season as well.
It'll be around 180 odd.
So yeah, go have a look if you care, but you probably don't anymore because no one cares about the Flash anymore.
That's why they're cancelling it.
Well, I think it's because Grant Gustin doesn't want to come back. He only made a deal for 1 year and probably charged through the nose for it.
And probably a bunch of other related issues at Warner.
Well, yeah, that's a separate thing, but we'll go get to that. First Kill has been cancelled by Netflix after 1 season. This was a vampire teen drama.
I had never heard of this. The only thing I know about this is the showrunner / maybe creator. Maybe they're the same person. I don't know.
Possibly
was very vocally upset about this and about Netflix's marketing of this show.
I did see that. Do you know, I never heard of this either until I saw, just before this announcement, I saw people on Twitter saying, "Come on, Netflix, hurry up and renew it." Worried that it was about to be cancelled. There was kind of that was in the air, and then obviously it did get killed by the Netflix.
Worried with reason, it seems. Yeah.
So I mean, I have no idea if it was any good or if it was the people who were passionately caring about it were have bad taste, or if it actually was a gem that needed to be saved. But that doesn't really matter. The point is that the creator may be right, because a lot of Netflix shows just do kind of get farted out without little fanfare.
Yeah.
The fact that I'd never heard of this is a testament to that.
Some that are marketed. I mean, Sandman is probably a prime example right now. And then there's probably 3 other shows a week that no one has ever heard of.
And that's fair if you're deciding this is our big hit and this is just sort of our backbone to add more dependable small shows to our service. That is completely fine. The problem is that they keep cancelling them, which implies that they wanted them to do better. But I'm if you're not going to give them the extra muscle to have a chance, then this is a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It is, yeah.
What are you doing?
What do you expect?
So no attachment to this, but obviously I have been hurt by Netflix cancellations in the past, so I commiserate with.
Yeah, it sucks for the fans, and I think, like I said, the most interesting part for me was the showrunner, actually speaking out, being pretty vocal about their reaction to it, as opposed to the standard response of, "Oh, we thank Netflix for the opportunities that they gave us," which is the typical log line.
Yeah, and it's something I've seen this at other streaming services. I mean, I'm always talking about Amazon barely advertising most of their shows. There's the odd one that does get it, but most of them just.
Amazon are even worse at Netflix than marketing, I think, or at least in the marketing that I end up seeing, Amazon is significantly lower than even the low down Netflix shows. Yeah,
I think in a weird way. Part of it's not having the weekly, because I think one of the things that reinforces advertising for these shows is that they get to keep advertising the new episode for weeks and weeks and weeks. But also just linear TV, as much as it's kind of a relic at this point, it's still kind of the one useful thing that's still there about it is that there's still this idea of a schedule and when things are going to start. And while streaming shows obviously have premiere dates when they launch, because it's they're just there on that day, there's kind of this. I'm not saying it should be on a specific time, but I am saying that there's something to the way of doing the weekly show, where, or at least using the schedule of traditional TV, in the sense that just something as simple as, maybe not a physical thing anymore, but the idea of the TV guide and pointing out the big things upcoming. I feel like a lot of these streaming shows just kind of get lost in the shuffle because unless you're hunting them down and looking at articles that are saying here's a bunch of shows starting soon that's worth maybe
Yeah,
looking at.
Netflix tried that at one point to some degree. I mean, maybe they still have this. I don't check it, but they did have the coming soon section, which would have here's everything that's coming to Netflix in the next week, and then here's all of the stuff for this month.
Yeah, I would go further. I would say, see for the next full month, maybe 2 months, depending on how far ahead they've announced things for. I would say have literally what looks like a TV guide thing at the top that you can access that's just like a timeline and says, okay, so on this date, here's the thumbnail for this with a title, and you can click on it for some info if you want, but just have like a literal timeline schedule of the next month that you can scroll through if you want to. And yeah, there should be a website that has that where, much like TV channels, each service has a row, and it's like, so on this day, this is what's launching on here and here. Really, there should be something like that that's very easily accessible. But and I do feel like not having that kind of thing hurts it, because generally speaking, I would say, other than the really advertised things like Stranger Things and some of the other big ones, yeah, the premiere dates for stuff that's launching on, say, HBO feel like way more known, and there's no reason why they should be more known, but they just are. So
yeah, that's I barely know about Netflix shows and Amazon, even shows I'm interested in anymore.
Yeah.
I just go on it one day and wait, oh, that's out. I guess I'll start watching it.
Yeah. And building a little bit of hype before something comes out is actually, a really useful tool.
Yeah, say what you want about the quality of the Disney Plus Marvel or Star Wars shows. It's the actual show itself is irrelevant to this point. Their marketing is very good. Like that, you kind of when they're coming, it's going to be okay this day.
Well, two of them have changed dates, so maybe they need to start out doing that a little bit, because it's weird.
Right.
There's been 2 stories like that in the same week, but yeah.
Yes, but that's a separate incident. Generally speaking, they tend to have pretty solid marketing of, hey, it's coming this day. You'll have usually 1 or 2, maybe 3 episodes spent on the show, and then weekly after that. The one thing I do know they had a problem with was, I say problem, I think it was the last Star Wars show. They launched it on a Friday, and then the rest of the episodes were on Wednesdays, and there was a bit of confusion around that from...
That's a bit weird.
At least people that I know didn't realize it was on the Wednesdays after that.
Yeah. Well, we got another cancelled show, The First Lady, which was meant to be an anthology show at Showtime, where each season would be about a different, figure, a different person. But they've cancelled it after 1 season, so there isn't going to be any more.
Who was the first season about?
Let's see. So, the whole idea was telling stories in America's charismatic, complex, and dynamic first ladies.
I guess Nancy Reagan.
I think it might have been episode by episode anthology, actually.
Oh, okay.
Because it's saying first ladies: Eleanor Roosevelt, Betty Ford, and Michelle Obama. So I presume that means that there was 1 per episode, which means, how many could there be? Maybe they had to cancel it if they'd already done it.
Well, I mean, there's been 45 odd presidents, hasn't there? So I would say 45.
True. Admittedly, yes, you could get a few more seasons, but there is a finite number. It's not.
There is, yeah.
Maybe they realised that a lot of the others aren't as interesting. And well, we'll just end it here. It's fine. There's plenty. I don't know. I mean, I didn't see any of it. I'm jokingly theorizing, and that's about it. But that's it done at Showtime. So cool. So speaking of the Disney Plus date moving around, so this is in the premiere date section because we have new premiere dates for a couple shows. She-Hulk, which admittedly this one isn't that big a deal. It's not really that much of a difference. It's just moved 1 day. They've decided they want this to be a Thursday show instead of a Wednesday show, so it's been bumped back 1 day to August 18th. So not really a big deal in that sense.
It's only a little bit amusing in the sense that they made a big deal when they moved all the Marvel shows to Wednesdays, being like, hey, Wednesday's comic book day, so we're going to put our shows out on the Wednesdays.
Not anymore.
Nope. Should have gone Tuesdays.
Yeah, so She-Hulk will start on August 18th. Not a big deal. The one that I did a double take for, because I saw this story and I put it in without thinking about it, and then realized, wait a minute, that was already in the pilot vote for this month. Why is there a premiere date article? So Andor, which was meant to be coming this month, has been pushed back about 3 weeks. It is now going to debut on the 21st of September. Because it was right at the end of this month previously. And yeah, so
I don't think they gave any reason for it.
I mean, the speculation in this Deadline article, maybe it's got something to do with wanting to get out the way of the Lord of the Rings show, which was the 2nd of September. So, maybe this...
Maybe.
Yeah, it's a comfortable distance. But it's a weekly... They release their episodes weekly, though, so I'm not...
Yeah, they'd only really have the 1 week where they'd be competing, right?
That said, though, it does say here it's starting with 3 episodes on that first day.
Yes.
How long is this? Is this only 6 episodes?
I think it might be 8.
Okay.
I could be wrong, though.
I was going to say, if it's only 6 and they're putting out 3 in the first week, that's kind of weird, but...
Yeah, that's half your show at that point.
Yeah.
I'm just going to have a quick glance if IMDb has the amount of episodes.
Yeah, have a look. And I also saw, just separately from this, but on Andor, there's they're already talking about season 2, but they're saying season 2 will be the last one because that'll tie directly into Rogue One.
Yeah. So it's 12 episodes.
Oh, okay.
And I did actually see just on the multiple seasons, and the length. I don't know how long, if this is going to count for the first season as well, but I know in general they talked about it being 5 years before Rogue One, and it would be like, every X amount of episodes would be a year, and it would kind of build up towards that over the course of the show.
Do you think they're counting like these 12 episodes as seasons 1 and 2 because they're normally 6, and or are they saying this is season 1's 12 episodes and there's going to be a season 2 after that?
I think they count as season 2. IMDb has it listed as 2 seasons still, with
1 having 12.
Yeah, and then 2 has 12 as well.
Okay, it's just
again, IMDb isn't a definitive answer to this, but I assume someone's pulled that information from somewhere.
I mean, they're giving Daredevil 18 apparently when that's hitting, so I mean, maybe they are starting to flesh out and consider.
Maybe I know there was like some, obviously, even if it has got slightly delayed, they're still in the marketing cycle for this now, and there was talk about how they're not using the I can't remember the specific name they use for their big screens that they use to to film things on. Their soundstage screens. They're not actually using those. They're doing location shooting for this show. So they're not. They decided they're not using it at all. They're using just locations and then traditional sound stages.
What a novel concept.
Yeah, but I think they're the first of the Star Wars Disney Plus shows to not use it at all in any capacity. So that's why it's, I won't say notable, but interesting in their in their marketing.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about the show, only that I was probably going to have to watch it this month, and now it's been pushed out, and we'll see how it does in the next vote.
No,
on Patreon.
It won its vote. You need to pay.
It didn't win. It just snuck on there barely, right?
Look,
barely.
Did you have to watch it for August?
Technically, yes.
Then you have to watch it for September. It carries over just because it's delayed. It carries over.
It
carries over.
It has to test its might against September's offerings.
No. Why should it have to vote twice when it already won?
Because I make the rules.
Patrons will not stand for this. There'll be a revolution.
I make the rules, damn it.
Rise up.
Alright, speaking of Disney Plus, there's a premiere date for Mighty Ducks Game Changer Season 2. That is coming on the 28th of September, which is a Wednesday, notably, just if we're keeping track of that a little bit. So curious to see how this is. I actually did watch all of Season 1 and had a good time for what it was. It's a lighthearted, throwback to these kids' movies. What is kind of interesting is, of course, that, what's his face? Sheen's kid, Emilio Estevez, ended up leaving the show over not wanting to get vaccinated. So we have a new kind of coach character in Season 2 because of that.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's very odd. I mean, I think fans were hoping they'd get Joshua Jackson because he was the main kid in Mighty Ducks. So the idea being he'd come back and be the new the new coach. But obviously he's busy. He's got other things that he's doing stuff.
And coming from it, so this was kind of a reasonable part of the draw when they were marketing that first season.
The first season, yeah. But I guess the hope is now they've lured people in, I mean, all they need is the theme music. If they've got that orchestral score...
You're going to watch it regardless.
I mean, I enjoyed season 1. I'll give a season 2 a go.
You will, yeah. See, you're a sucker.
I already watched season 1. How am I a sucker for watching season 2?
Yeah, you're a sucker. Do I need a reason?
Coming from the Star Wars fan here, yes. Like, there's a lot of hypocrisy. A lot of hypocrisy in this.
I see no hypocrisy in that.
Did you go see Solo?
Yes. And it was a good movie, barring one moment.
We'll see about that.
Hey, lots of movies are great movies, barring one moment.
Atlanta has got its premiere date for its 4th and final season. That's going to be starting on the 15th of September on FX. So, there you go. Look forward to that too. So one of the big things this week, and I've just sort of grouped them all together. And the first thing that kicked this all off was a bit of movie news, which we'll definitely mention here. But there's a lot of turmoil right now at HBO Max, particularly because of just Warner Brothers Discovery and like all the growing pains of this merger, and some interesting decisions and directions that they may be going in.
And one of the worst PowerPoint slides ever put out for public consumption.
I saw some of these. The one, because they're talking, so let's give one of these stories here. The first one I've got here actually is that HBO Max and Discovery Plus are going to merge, starting in the summer of 2023 in the US, but then there's like a gradual rollout to the other regions over the next year and a half. So by the end of 2024, everyone will have this new merged system.
Did they say which name they're going to go with?
I don't think they have now.
Interesting.
Maybe they'll come up with something new. Maybe they'll, I don't know.
I know there was speculation that they wanted a general Warner name, because and they didn't know whether they wanted that or the HBO Max, because they didn't know which brand had stronger appeal.
I mean, Discovery's pretty well known, don't get me wrong, but I think in terms of caring about programming, HBO is a stronger brand.
Right, but if they want to focus on the movies, do you want to go with Warner?
Well, that's what I was about to say, is the only thing they could use that is more universally known in HBO is just Warner Brothers. Like WB, that symbol is iconic. It is something that everyone has seen since they were a kid, from Looney Tunes cartoons to the movies you watch growing up. It's been here our whole lives for all of us. That no one is alive today that is not grown up with that Warner Brothers logo in some capacity.
Probably true, yeah.
Right? Unless you live in like a tribe in the middle of a jungle or something. Obviously. Fair enough. But even then, there's like an etching in a tree somewhere. What does this mean? What is Warner Brothers?
I'm just picturing them going around going, "What's up, Doc?" Even they know.
Even they know. So, and that's like honestly, the merger of those two services is fine. Like, I mean, we don't care that much about Discovery Plus as a thing, but the idea of them taking that, and I mean, I think what most of us would have said is just sort of throw it into HBO Max and make it a tab. Just kind of like how National Geographic's a tab in Disney Plus. Just throw it in there and call it a day. But of course, Discovery's kind of the controlling partner of this merger now, and they, I guess, see their name and their services as equal or more valuable, so they don't want to just admit that the other one's a bigger deal. So the big news that came this week. Actually, let's keep talking about this, because I want to talk about some of those slides. Actually, there was a slide where it was like, this is why it's going to be great to have both of these things together, because look at how they appeal to different audiences, and it was like just a list of things underneath each one, and one was like, this skews towards males, HBO Max, and Discovery Plus skews towards women, and I'm like, what? Because HBO Max don't have anything that a woman can watch? What the hell are you talking about?
I've got the thing here if you want.
Oh, I see what I can remember, because I think these are pretty memorable. You can fill in the blanks when I've run out of steam here. One says appointment viewing, which is HBO Max.
Yeah.
The other one is casual viewing, or comfort viewing. That was the phrase. And this is basically just like saying the same thing, but given that they just said that one's male skewing and one's female skewing, I particularly got a chuckle out of under HBO. It said lean in. Under Discovery it said lean back.
Yeah,
I'm like, this is getting very erotic all of a sudden. This slide show what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, one's, what was the last couple of things it said?
So you had male skew and female skew,
yes,
respectively, for HBO Max and Discovery Plus. scripted and unscripted,
Yes.
lean in, lean back, appointment, comfort. And then my favorite one is HBO Max, home of fandoms.
Oh yes, I forgot about this.
Discovery Plus, home of genredoms.
Genredoms. And then the other side that I thought was even funnier than this, it was just like a sort of like list of the brands and franchises they have. And one of the ones that was listed next to, like, you know, Batman, Superman, Game of Thrones, and these other things, it was 90 Day Fiancé Universe. Universe. What?
It's a universe?
Universe? So who knows? Who knows? Going along with this, there was a they are looking to spend more money, and this is probably the kind of a positive thing out of it, because a lot of the news that was coming out of all this stuff was like, oh, they're cutting down on all these things, they're cancelling things left and right, blah blah. But it looks like they want to spend more money on HBO Max over the next 2 years versus the last 2 years. So maybe they are committed to it, but they are making all these weird choices that feel kind of weird. The other story that came out is that they're confirming that they are downsizing how much they focus on animation and children's content. And I suppose to an extent, like, okay, yeah, HBO, obviously, even HBO, the name, just, you know, it's mature. It's for people who are adults, right?
It's not surprising. Like, alternatively, like if Disney Plus was making this announcement, it would be weird, right? You expect them to be focusing on that stuff because that's their target audience. HBO Max, kids are not their target audience.
No. I mean, obviously, they have a lot of legacy content because they do have Looney Tunes, they do have Scooby-Doo, they do have these sort of things.
That's a byproduct as opposed to what they're actually aiming for in their original content.
And that's okay, that's fine. You know, that's fine. But, you know, I did see some people worried that, like, well, does this mean Harley Quinn is maybe going to get the
I mean,
block?
I've seen that Harley Quinn, Titans and Doom Patrol are all likely being cancelled within the next couple of weeks, is the reports. Yeah,
the only thing that might be safe is that James Gunn said calm down when he was asked about Peacemaker Season 2, as if everything's okay, but I don't know if that's just because they have to keep him happy because he's helping them with movies and shit. And
yeah, and maybe it's just, I mean, I'd say it's far enough into production that you know, they might as well, but obviously other news stories would lean that doesn't really matter to them anymore.
Well, yeah, we have to mention Batgirl, don't we? We have to mention.
We do have to mention.
Probably one of the bigger, like, head scratching decisions that a movie studio has
ever made.
They have decided to just can the movie, which is notable because it's not like they're halfway through shooting. It's not like they're in pre-production. No, they have finished production. They were test screening. Now, obviously, post-production wasn't done, and there's probably still effect shots to do. There's probably still some other post things to do, but most of it's done.
Probably like 80% done, maybe 90%.
They've already spent $90 million on it, and
which obviously is a lot because it was aimed as a HBO Max original movie, not a theatrical release. So $90 million's a lot, but that's because of pandemic-forced reshoots and delays.
So cost this amount of money, and they are choosing to not release it. And they actually said that part of the reason for this is that they are trying to protect the brand of DC. They want to, you know, curate it better. They want to make it all live up to a standard, and that they don't think that this, you know, they want to release that. And obviously, you can joke, oh, they released this first Suicide Squad movie, and that's like trash. But to be fair, that was different people in charge. You got new people. Fair enough. Maybe they've got higher standards or whatever. But it's so strange because, like, every movie studio ever, and this is just a historical thing, by and large, every time they will release a turd even when they know it's a turd just to recoup whatever costs they can. Now, admittedly, I did hear that there's a tax write-off here where if they don't release it, they get at least like 20 million back or something like that, which I think they could make more money than that if they just put it out in theaters.
Right, but they were never going to put it in theaters. It was always a HBO.
Well, they weren't, but they could. Like, you know, if the choice is get 20 guaranteed or take a bit of a chance to get more, I do think they would make more than that. It's a Batgirl movie. Like, you know, I think a Batgirl movie
would make at least a couple of hundred.
Yeah, I would think worldwide it'd do a couple hundred, which is nothing compared to what the Batman movie did, but I think it would be guaranteed a couple hundred million. Yeah. So,
because in this day and age, a couple of $100 million for a blockbuster is nothing.
Yeah, it's not great, but because it's got name value, enough people would check it out. Like, it would do better than Morbius. I'm just going to say it, right?
What did Morbius end up making?
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea what Morbius made. Too much.
Probably. Right. Okay, so we're saying Batgirl, a couple of hundred, a minimum. Would you like to place a bet for Morbius?
Worldwide, I will guess 140.
Okay, you're not that far off.
Oh, okay.
163.9
All right, okay.
worldwide. That was a 74 domestic, and that had a 75 million budget.
Okay.
But I think even if Batgirl matched that with minimal marketing, it would recoup its costs.
It feels like it would, which is what, but they also cancelled, like, there was an animated Scooby-Doo sequel or something that was in the works that got cancelled as well.
It sounded very good, actually.
Yeah, so like they're making all these decisions and they're being very harsh about it, and there's a lot of things that HBO Max, because for a couple of days there was rumors with this merger of Discovery before they announced it properly that they were just going to straight up stop doing scripted content on a streaming service. So they were going to still have linear HBO and still make content for that, so that would be safe. But HBO Max would stop making scripted content. However, that doesn't appear to be the case once they've actually announced all this. That seems to have been something that just kind of got, twisted somewhere along the rumor mill line and had everyone worried.
They kind of publicly said, no, we're going to keep making content, don't worry.
Yeah, and that goes back to what I was saying here about they're flat out saying, Zaslav revealed that they're going to be spending dramatically more in 2022 and 2023.
Where they're spending it is obviously
that's true. Yeah, we don't know yet, but I mean, this funny thing about this is, on some level, as someone who is a DC Comics fan who is at a place of pretty much, I like the new Batman movie, but other than that, I am at a place of complete apathy when it comes to like Warner Brothers' efforts. Between the Zack Snyder films, which I think are trash, sort of these lukewarm films that are coming up that I don't think look very good.
You're excited for Joker too.
Shut up. And I thought Aquaman was pretty mediocre. Like, yeah, I've just not been in a good place. Wonder Woman's sequel was rough. So the idea,
that was very kind.
The idea that the new regime is like, no, we want to actually like respect and sort of like protect the integrity of it, right? The idea we want to build it up to a point where it's got, like, in the same way that the brand of HBO, right? Even though they've had a couple of stinkers here or there, by and large, you think of HBO as having a good reputation. They want DC to have a good reputation. That's what they want to get to.
But they're going to release The Flash and Black Adam, so
we'll see if they release The Flash. I'm still not convinced that.
I'm not either, but even as of today, they're still saying, yeah, we're releasing The Flash.
They're saying they're going to. Yeah, but who knows what Ezra Miller's going to do between now and May next year.
Oh, God, is it that far away?
And they're also already talking about pushing the other movies. And I mean, Shazam 2 was always going to get pushed because of Avatar 2, because it was the same week. And they for a long time, they've claimed it was going to come out that week. And it's like, no, it's not. You're
and that's pushed off. I want to say Aquaman.
Yeah, I don't think they've officially done it yet, but they're like, the buzz is they're both getting pushed.
Yeah, I think Aquaman's just if this is the case, is just a knock-on effect as opposed to anything individually.
Which does that mean that Flash gets knocked back to like October next year? if there's a knock-on effect,
maybe. I saw the Black Adam trailer for the first time the other day.
Oh,
the full trailer. God, that movie looks terrible. I'm gonna watch it at some point because it's Pierce Brosnan's Fate.
It doesn't look good,
but it looks awful.
It doesn't look good. Yeah, and I enjoyed the first Shazam movie for what it was well enough, but like the trailer for the second one just looks, it's like, I'll probably think that it may just be as good as the first one, but I'm not excited about it.
That's how, we do a DC Comics podcast. That's how apathetic I am to these movies. I haven't even watched the Shazam trailer.
Yep. So there you go. That's it. All this stuff. I mean, basically, what I'd say is that I'd expect a lot of like, change, a lot of new shows announced probably in the not too distant future from HBO Max as they're kind of like deciding what their new like slate is, what their direction is. In the same way that CW, which has also been affected by all this like merger stuff, and obviously there's rumors of that being sold off potentially. They don't want to keep it, and that's why they cancelled a bunch of stuff. But the tent pole or the tent kind of reason for both of these things is the merger, right? So it's not surprising that something like this did come around after all those CW cuts happened, but that Batgirl announcement really was kind of like, all right, usually when the movie's already been shot, it's pretty safely coming out. Because we used to joke about how oh, DC announced so many movies, and it's more likely to happen if they've not announced it, given that most of the things they announced never happen. And that was the joke. And it's like, not until we see a trailer do we believe it's coming. But I genuinely would have always thought if they've shot the movie already, it's going to happen. So this is a really unique case of like, no, that's it gone.
Now you can't trust them on any movie.
And until I'm watching it, there's always that seed of doubt now, apparently. So
yeah, unless it's Joker 2, in which you can be damn sure it's going to happen.
Just despite my existence, yes, they're going to release
yeah,
Joker 2.
Because Joker 1 made so much money. How can they not make Joker 2?
It's an excellent question. It's an excellent question.
Also, I have to say, I am kind of curious about Joker 2. I don't think the first Joker is a good movie. I want to make that very clear. I don't think it's a terrible movie, but I don't think it's a good movie. You're telling me they're making it a musical with Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn? I am so interested in what the hell that movie is going to be. I have to see it.
No, I have no interest. I can't stand any of this.
Yeah. Hey, patrons, got something for you.
No. All right, let's move on. We have some sad news next. Actually, I don't always bring it up when someone has passed away, but this seemed quite notable in the sense that we were working through Star Trek. We started working through the original series back in 2017. We've currently just started Deep Space Nine, and we're 6 seasons into the Next Generation. Nichelle Nichols, who played Uhura in the original series and the movies, passed away at 89 this week.
Yeah,
so,
that sucks. The only even slightly positive angle is there was all that stuff of maybe elder abuse going on in the last couple of years with her. That at least that's not going on anymore, I guess.
Oh, that's the what's the positive part of that? I was like, where's he going with it?
That it's not happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's she had a good run. 89 is a pretty solid age to get to, and she did a lot more in her life, and is like being who she was, being this black woman who was on a main TV show in the 60s, like the inspiration that must have led to, and everything that she helped progress,
yeah, it's kind of been a shitty couple of weeks for deaths, hasn't it?
Very few of us will have contributed as much to the world with our existence as someone like Nichelle Nichols. So
yeah,
there you go.
Yeah. We had David Warner like a week ago.
Yeah. I was sad about that because he I grew up seeing him in like Supergirl and Turtles 2, but he's been in a lot. He's been in Star Trek like 3 times as different characters.
Yeah. He shows up in I listen to a lot of Big Finish Doctor Who audio productions.
Oh, he shows up a lot in those.
He shows up a good amount of those, and it was really weird because I didn't know. I listened to one like the day after he died, and there he was in that one. That was a kind of weird. And then the same thing happened to me again the other day with Bernard Cribbins, who obviously passed away just the other day as well. And then the day after, I listened to. Obviously, he's actually kind of reasonably well known for being in Doctor Who in general, in the modern show. But then it was in one of the audio ones, and oh look, there he is. He's got a very distinctive voice as well.
Can't believe you're using the deaths of people to bring up Doctor Who. This is sickening.
Hey, both of them were notable Doctor Who actors. Notable.
Oh, all right. Take your word for it. Let's move on.
You're not a fan.
We got I'll remember that statement when I bring up another show later. We got an update from the TCAs from FX about a couple of things. The main one being Alien, which is the reason why it's here, this story.
Oh, really? That was one of the least, like, from what I recall, they said like Alien was like, yeah, it's still happening.
I mean, it says they're going to shoot next year. My point there wasn't that there was more information about it. The point was that I care more about Alien than anything else.
No, that's not even the most interesting of the shows that they mentioned. For me, anyway.
What, Shogun? You care about Shogun?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's a novel based on like some Japanese stuff with like this historical Japanese novel.
This wasn't a slide from you. I just didn't know what it was.
Oh, okay. It's this Japanese historical epic. It's like a pretty hefty book. I think there's like 3 or 4 of them. But Shogun's the first one.
Yeah, and they also mentioned all the scripts are in for Alien. as well, and there's going to be shooting that next year. So
I think they mentioned Fargo as well.
they
Right?
mentioned Fargo as well. Yeah, on season 5, which is beginning production this fall. So
yeah, and I think the Shogun update was it's finished production.
yeah, it's airing next year.
Yes.
So I'm a little bit sad that Alien's not even like shooting until next year. I was like, okay, so 2024 that's when we're probably going to get it.
Depending on when they're shooting, maybe late next year.
Yeah. I won't hold my breath. Because I'm very curious to see how that turns out. I could use a good Alien thing.
Hey, you had a good Predator movie today.
Did I?
Allegedly.
Oh. I don't know.
I said allegedly.
I won't be revealing my opinion on it until I do the review on it.
Alright, if you want to be the one that ruins the 100% Rotten Tomatoes, you go ahead.
No, it's not 100% anymore. It's like 93 now.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I will not be revealing my opinion until the Atomic Cinema Experiment episode next week, in which myself and Tara will review it. On that subject, though, you can. I've not told Connor anything, by the way. So he's just,
he hasn't.
He's just joking. But before that, though, this weekend's episode is The Predator. So if you want to get our opinions on that bad boy,
that one I know you love. I've heard your opinions on that many a time.
Oh yeah,
one of your favorites, I believe.
Is that right? Very good.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the comedies then. We have an NBC pilot production commitment. It's a very convoluted thing to just say. It's not a. I mean, I guess it's the order on a pilot. I don't know why. If you're going to produce it, then I guess it's just a pilot order. But I guess there's a slight technical difference in the phrasing. But anyway, so it's called Saint Denis Medical. It's a half-hour mockumentary-style workplace comedy from the superstore and American auto duo of Justin Spitzer, who created both series, and Eric Legend, maybe, as well as Universal TV. St. Denis Medical is a mockumentary about an underfunded and understaffed Oregon hospital where the dedicated doctors and nurses try their best to treat patients while maintaining their own sanity.
Oh, that was close, but not quite. It was close. Yeah.
You could make an argument sanity basically means their personal lives, but...
Yeah, but you were stretching it into that now.
Yeah.
I think they're hitting the spirit of it, but then they're not getting to the phrasing, which is what matters.
So this is basically Parks and Rec in a hospital is what I'm reading from this.
Yeah, the Superstore one.
Yeah.
I've heard lots of good things about that. I know a lot of people enjoy that show.
Oh, I've not seen it.
I've seen like 10 minutes when it was on TV at one point.
I've not had a good sitcom to binge in a while. Maybe I'll go seek out Superstore, see if it's any good.
Yeah, I've heard good things.
But yeah, that sounds. I mean, it's comedy in a hospital sounds like a fine idea. Maybe the mockumentary thing's a little bit spent, but I mean, as long as they just use
it's
it.
It's one of those things where
much.
Obviously there was a lot of them, but I can't think of any in the last few years, really.
Yeah, I suppose that's fair. So that's St. Denis Medical. And then next up, we have a comedy in the work at Fox. It's called Buffalo Tens. A single camera comedy written, executive produced, and potentially starring another period creators, Ricky Lindhorn and Natasha Leggero. So it's developed at Fox. And Buffalo Tens, when two brash 40-something matchmakers in Buffalo, New York, are unexpectedly dumped by their husbands, they're forced to put their tried-and-true dating regimen, the Buffalo Tens Commandments, alright, that's cute, to the test for themselves. While out in the dating scene for the first time in 20 years, they'll realise the antiquated methods they have recommended to clients won't actually help at all, and they may have to question everything they know about dating, relationships, and love. But it's going to be a long journey for these two characters who avoid introspection like the plague.
See, that was inherently professional and personal, but they didn't actually phrase it in any way.
No, they never actually said kind of the work side of it. Honestly, as far as the concepts go, I actually think that had something in it, despite the fact that it's not necessarily broadly something that appeals to me. That the part where they give dating advice, but they've not dated in 20 years, and now they have to actually use their own advice, and it's completely nonsensical, is I can see the potential in that.
Yeah, I can see how that's a a show. You can see each episode being around. Hey, here's this piece of advice.
Yeah. This is how you talk to someone in a bar, and they'll do that's one episode, and it's them trying to talk to people and getting just being fiddles or whatever. So yeah. But yeah, so that's in development at Fox. So cool. That's what was it? Buffalo Tens is what that was called. Buffalo Tens. Next up, Showtime's given a green light to a half-hour comedy, a pilot called Mason. Comes from comedian Nathan Min, who worked in Joe Pera Talks to You, and it also stars him. Yeah. And then Daniels, which is Daniel Shiner and Daniel Kwan, the team behind Everything Everywhere All at Once. So it's an interesting set of names to have on this. So yeah, Mason is a surrealist comedy based on Min's real life experiences. It revolves around a quiet man named Nathan, which is often misheard as Mason, which is the name of the show, seeking a connection in a loud world. So not too descriptive there on its premise.
No. Surrealist sounds interesting to me, being that this is a network show, right?
Showtime, so cable.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, okay, I can see it on there.
Yeah, not a lot to go on, but some interesting creatives behind it.
I mean, no, could be all right. We'll see.
Next up, Chris Rock's got a animated sequel to a show that he did before. So remember, everybody hates Chris.
Unfortunately.
Well, now there's going to be an animated series called Everybody Still Hates Chris.
Why?
It's a reimagining based on that show. It's received a straight-to-series order by MTV Entertainment.
My why has been answered.
Yeah, I don't know. I can tell you what it is, I suppose. Yeah, inspired by Rock's experiences growing up as a skinny nerd in a large working-class family in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, during the late 1980s. I mean, it's basically just the same premise as the original show.
Just more of it, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know if he ever was in the original show. I imagine he probably gave himself a cameo at some point, but obviously he was like behind the creation of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Everybody Still Hates Chris. Coming soon. Amazon Studios has greenlit a historical comedy called My Lady Jane. It's obviously Prime. It's going to star Emily Bader, who was in Paranormal Activity Next of Kin, which I've actually not seen yet, believe it or not. I've not seen the 7th Paranormal Activity.
Why not?
It came out when Streams was on hiatus, and we've had other things to do.
Slacking.
Edward Blumel's going to be in it, and Jordan Peters is going to be in it. So, based on the 2016 young adult historical fiction novels, the series will follow an irreverent young Tudor woman who dreads her arranged marriage, only to be surprised when it results in a steamy romance. Her being crowned queen and a heroic mission to save the magical people persecuted by her political rivals. Taking short-lived British monarch Lady Jane Grey as an inspiration, the popular novel was penned by Brodie Ashton, Cynthia Hand, and Jodie Meadows. This sounds like something I will despise.
It does, but it does say it's a comedy, so...
True. I suppose, yeah, maybe it'll work. It sounds like Bridgerton with some superpowers, or some magic, basically, is what I got from that.
It does a little bit, but... Yeah, this all depends on how funny it is.
Yes. So, moving on to the dramas, stars have officially confirmed a prequel show for Outlander called Blood of My Blood in development. And this is going to focus on the parents of one of the characters in the main show. Jamie Fraser is the character, so his parents are going to be the focus of it, so it's a prequel. Apparently there's been some speculation about a prequel or a spin-off happening for a while, over a year. But this is officially been announced as being in the works. So I think the full title is Outlander, Blood of My Blood. So
Of course it is.
So
They have to have that name
you
recognition.
got the colon. Yeah. The main show is currently in season 7.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So that's going ahead. Yeah.
I've never seen any of it.
So I have nothing to add or nothing to say about it.
I'm like vaguely familiar when I see it pop up on a service. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, Stars is an entity. Like they did Ashby's Evil Dead, but other than that, I've kind of just not really interacted with them much.
What did they do that I liked? Did they do American Gods? Or was that Showtime?
Oh, that may have been Stars. Yeah, that may have been Stars.
I always get Stars and Showtime, their content mixed up because I feel like they're so interchangeable a lot of the time.
That's fair.
And then Black Sail as well, the pirate one. Again, I don't remember which of those two it was, but that was one of them.
That was one of them. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. They're kind of the lesser of the cable networks, right? They're the ones at the bottom that are kind of...
Yeah, they're the S's. They're just they're off to the side. Yeah. Maybe I'll watch them someday.
It's a bit weird, but hey. Next up, FX have ordered The Veil, which is a limited series, a thriller for it says for Hulu here, so I guess
FX on Hulu.
FX on Hulu, yeah. But this is coming from Stephen Knight, who's going to be doing this.
Ooh.
Yeah, Stephen Knight, and it's going to star Elizabeth Moss.
Okay.
Yeah, we're putting some interesting names together here. I've not been a fan of any of Stephen Knight's TV stuff that I've seen, but his movie Locke, starring Tom Hardy, is wonderful, and there's a slight connection to this. Interestingly, I think. Is
the connection just casting a phenomenal actor?
Well, you could say that, but it seems like it's a road trip story.
Oh, okay.
Now, I expect they're going to leave the car more than Tom Hardy did, but
probably, which is they only have to step outside at once.
But I realize, you see him walk out of the car at the end of the movie.
All right, fine, that's technically true.
I think he walks towards the car at the start of the movie.
I mean, quite possibly. That's not leaving the car, that's entering.
Okay. So the thriller explores the surprising and fraught relationship between two women who play a deadly game of truth and lies on the road from Istanbul to Paris to London. One woman has a secret, the other a mission to reveal it before thousands of lives are lost.
It's very high stakes.
It is
maybe a little bit too high stakes for what it needs to be, potentially.
But at the same time, it's just potentially two great actors in a car with one trying to get information out the other for a whole show.
Oh, we know it's one great actor so far. We don't know about the other one yet.
That's why I said potentially.
Yeah. All right, fine. I'll lay you off.
So, there's potential here. There's definitely potential.
There is, yeah. Something worth keeping an eye on.
So that's The Veil, limited series for FX/Hulu. Next up, Keanu Reeves is going to star in a limited series. It's an adaptation of Eric Larson's Devil in the White City, and this is also for Hulu. So they're making big moves with a limited series. But they did well recently with The Dropout and with something else. So they've been doing praised limited series recently. So the streamer announced the limited series for the drama, which tells the story of Daniel H. Burnham, a demanding but visionary architect who races to make his mark on history with the 1893 Chicago's World's Fair and Dr. H.H. Holmes, America's first modern serial killer, and the man behind the notorious murder castle built in the fair's shadow. It marks Keanu Reeves' first major TV role. So that's cool. It's 8 episodes, and they're expecting to launch production next year. So could be a big deal.
Yeah. I'm not like super familiar with any of this really. Eric Larson, is that the same author as a girl with a dragon tattoo? Because that name sounds familiar.
Oh, I don't know. But I'm relatively familiar with the H.H. Holmes having the murdering people near the World's Fair. I'm relatively familiar with that going on.
Different writer. I'm mixing it up with something.
Aye, you're just seeing Larson and jump into.
It is a Larson, in my defense.
That's what I'm saying. You seen Larson? Yeah. Yeah. Not Brie Larson that wrote the book, was it?
No.
Just checking. Okay. It was spelled differently as well. But yeah, it sounds interesting. Another potential limited series from Hulu. So cool. Next up, we have a new show. It's untitled right now. It's called the Untitled Orphan Project. Funnily enough, but Ellen Pompeo, who I think is known for Grey's Anatomy, is going to produce and star in it. In fact, it actually mentions here that she's scaling back her time on Grey's Anatomy to do this project. So she's going to be on less of that next time. But yeah, she's going to still be the narrator on that show, apparently. But
I have no idea how Grey's Anatomy works.
yeah, I don't know either.
You said that, and I'm like, it has a narrator.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. But anyway, so it's going to be an 8-episode limited series for Hulu. And yeah, so it's based on this shocking true case. I'm going to lean in and read this to you.
Oh, is this a true crime?
I'm going to be like HBO Max and lean in.
I'll be Discovery Plus and
lean back. Yeah, very good. So, the shocking case, which has drawn parallels to the 2009 horror movie Orphan. I'm just watching that soon for the first time for streams, funnily enough, because the sequel's coming out soon, you see.
Well, maybe if you'd watched it already, you could have had some insight to this story.
Yeah. Made national. Luckily, I already know the twist, and I feel like this is going to spoil the twist for that movie before I read any more of it. I feel like that's where this is going. So, if you don't want spoilers for Orphan, I would skip ahead to the next story. All right. Made national headlines in September 2019 when Christine Burnett and her ex-husband Michael Burnett were charged with neglect for allegedly abandoning their adopted daughter Natalia, who has a rare form of dwarfism. In 2013, she was 9. After putting her up in an apartment, they had moved to Canada. The parents have claimed that Natalia, whom they adopted when they thought she was 6, is in fact a mentally disturbed adult woman who threatened their lives. Most of the charges against the Burnetts eventually were dismissed. Natalia has denied the accusations that she is a grown-up con artist. So this is a group. This is parents who adopted a girl and believe she's an adult impersonating a child who is a danger to them. I feel like some doctors could probably quite quickly confirm or deny.
You would think, wouldn't you?
All of this.
Well, they could confirm her age, at the very least.
Yeah, confirm her age, yeah.
Whether or not she threatened them.
Sure, yeah, she could have threatened them, I suppose, but like that's not that hard to figure out. Like, you know, from a medical perspective, I'm sure they could figure it out.
I'd like to think so. Otherwise, what the hell are we doing here?
It's a very wild premise. I'll give it that. I assume Pompeo here would be playing the mother character, and not the maybe child / adult.
Probably, yeah.
So they're hitting big with this one, at least. They're swinging for a wild story. I'll give them that.
Yeah, that they are. So,
Untitled Orphan Project. I love how they even put orphan in their working title. They know what this is linking up with a little bit.
I'm assuming that means they've paid for the rights as opposed to just, you know, this isn't just this is similar. No, they've paid for the rights to that.
To what?
To Orphan.
To the title?
I'm assuming so, like as an adaptation of some sort of the movie.
But you think they're adapting the movie?
No, but like the way that they're referencing it in the title there. So I'm assuming they're aware of what they're doing in the scripts, so they're paying for the rights to use it.
Oh. Well, that'd be weird given that the sequel to Orphan's coming out in like a month.
Oh, that's weird.
That's a bit weird, but whatever. Next up, Peacock, your favourite, Connor, has had a straight-to-series order for Hysteria, a coming-of-age satanic panic drama thriller from writer Matthew Scott Kane from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and Dungeons and Dragons filmmakers John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein. So, yeah, Hysteria explores America's dark history of mass hysteria through the shocking story of the teenage satanic panic. The series follows a group of 1980s high school misfits as they exploit the growing hysteria around teen occult activity, which is an interesting topic. What's funny is that a little bit of season 4 of Stranger Things kind of tapped into this. It's not a big part of it, but there is a little bit of a, sort of like a reference to it. Like,
it's not surprising. You know, it was huge in the zeitgeist of the time, right?
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
So yeah, they're going to do a show based around it. I wonder if this is Peacock trying to make their Stranger Things. Like they're going, this is ours, damn it.
Oh, is this the same way everyone was like, this is our Game of Thrones?
Yeah, they're going to try and do their Stranger Things with the Satanic Panic show.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good premise. Like, I don't really know the names behind this enough to really be excited based, for the quality of it. But as far as premises go, it's fine. So,
I agree.
Cool.
Yeah, sounds all right.
Well, since you're so tired, I'll give you the last story of the week then, shall I?
Oh, yes, please.
So Hulu's given a straight-to-series order for The Other Black Girl, an adaptation of Zakiya Delia Harris's novel of the same name. I did my best there. If I butchered that name, I apologize to Miss or Mrs. Harris. So yes, the series will be executive produced by Tara Duncan, the former Netflix executive who struck an overall deal with Hulu in 2020. So this is another Hulu show. So coming from the Onyx Collective, the production company. The series follows Nella, an editorial assistant who is tired of being the only black girl at her company. So she's excited when Hazel is hired. But as Hazel's star begins to rise, Nella spirals out and discovers something sinister is going on in the company.
Okay, that's pretty vague in the long run.
Yeah.
What it is, but okay, good. Not inherently bad.
I am actually a little sad that nothing made you drink today.
No, not a thing.
They all dodged it.
All my pre-drinks, I came prepared and nothing.
Oh
well.
I'm gonna have to start making
drinking the whole time.
I'm gonna have to start making up a fake story just that I can slot in if there's nothing popping up.
You just tell me it's a CBS story, I'll believe it.
Do you know what's so funny about that though? Is that if I was going to fake one, I couldn't go too nuts, it would be too obvious, but I'm thinking that show The Bear had like 4 professional impersonals in one go, and like,
do you know what's crazy to me is that show made me drink so much and people love that show. Like, it's one of the, like, all my Twitter feed is just constantly like, oh man, that show is incredible.
They love it.
I'm like, it's hard for me to take it seriously because it made me drink 4 times in one description.
It just goes to show though that the PR person writing that like paragraph for the
it's
press
not
release,
the same person.
Yeah. It's not the writer of the show, usually. So yeah, it's just whatever. It's fine. There you go. That's the news of the week. Hopefully you had some fun there, and have some. If you got thoughts, put them in the comments. Let us know what you think of all the HBO Max chaos and whatever else we talked about. So go do that. Like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications, hit the super thanks button if you want to support all the content, and of course you can do that on a more permanent basis over at patreon.com/mailfuzztv and get some bonuses for your troubles. I'll take this time to thank our Patreon producers for the month. So thank you to Tyler Hess, Cindy Palacios, David Short, Boardnow, Christopher Moy, David Brown, Al Treisman, and Alison M. Fordyce. They are all Patreon producers, which is one of the higher tiers over there. But yeah, otherwise, catch us on Twitter at mail_fuzz for channel updates, or check out all the other various links that are in the description. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla?